Hello, Cuddle Beats Nation. My name is Sydni.
My name is Ellie.
And I'm Juliana.
And welcome to our third installment, and we're here at Classick Studios. What's going on under the sun for you? You're a very busy lady. It's hard to track you down, but when you are in the spot and we do get to have a conversation like today, what's going on with you lately?
Currently, I do artist management. I have a few clients under the management side. I do A&R, and I'm studio manager here at Classick Studios.
Can you talk about what first got you into music and at what age did you fall in love with music?
Yeah. So I grew up in a really musical household. My mom was a classical pianist and vocalist. My dad, for many, many years, was a DJ as well. But I think from a very young age, I was always trying to seek out new music, even just subconsciously. And with my dad being a DJ, he had access to all of these programs where he could, download music. I was able to kind of rummage through that and figure out what I liked, what I didn't like, why I liked it, and yeah.
What was your first artist that you fell in love with, or the type of music that you fell in love with?
The first band that I was really, really, really obsessed with was Imagine Dragons. Actually, yeah, I loved Imagine Dragons. I saw them in concert. It was amazing. For a 10, 11-year-old, I was like, this is really good. This is good music. But I think beyond that, I really got into folk music. I think growing up in Tennessee, I was a big fan of bluegrass already. It was already in my blood in that regard. But what really solidified to me that I had a unique taste level in my environment at the time was becoming a fan of the music coming out of Chicago. The whole Renaissance era of 2014 to 2017. Once I discovered that on my own and everything, in Tennessee, nobody else was listening to it. I was like, oh yeah, this, I was saying this earlier, but this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. It literally changed my life.
Who were those artists that were coming out of Chicago that you were listening to?
It was the whole Chance, the Saba, the No Name, Smee's not from Chicago, but Chicago adopted Smino, the Social Experiment, Jamila Woods, Raven Lenae. It was all of these artists that I was I've never heard anything like this in my life. And I think that's a similar experience for a lot of people now. I feel I can share that experience with and relate to, but I think at the time it made me feel so special and so unique.
And in your transition from moving from Tennessee to Chicago, was there any culture shock when you got here where you're either I love this or this is really overwhelming?
Oh, 1000%. I didn't necessarily know what I was getting myself into. I think growing up in a small college town, and then even, the only other city that I've ever lived in was Chattanooga, which is even smaller than my hometown. There's no way that I could have known what living in a city was gonna be like. I didn't have any preconceived idea of what living in Chicago would be like. I just knew that was something that I wanted to do, but it was definitely it's very different, down to parking, down to how much space you have in comparison to other people, and the weather.
Did you find it hard to connect with people once you got out here? Was there anybody that you
No, not at all.
Knew when you were coming out here, even if just one person?
Yeah, I knew a couple people. So a really good friend of mine, we had met online, I don't know, maybe a year or so before I ended up moving out here. So we had already followed each other and everything. We had chatted a couple times, but when I moved out here, I was like, hey, I'm moving to Chicago. I would love to be friends and hang out, whatever. So I think within the first 3 weeks of me moving here, we ended up going to Summer Smash. It was a lot of fun. And then she moved to LA a month later. And so I was heartbroken, but I'm really grateful for the way that the community, the overall community in Chicago, welcomed me with open arms, because I don't think that a lot of cities are like that at all. And then I think even for me, I already felt disconnected from Tennessee, and so I already felt I was supposed to be here and kind of get along with people that have lived in the city for however long in these creative industries and stuff. So
I know know you mentioned you used to drive an hour and a half or 2 hours to the Treehouse?
At Tree Sound Studios.
Tree Sound Studios in Atlanta. Right, how did you start there?
I wasn't in school at the time. I was kind of just floating, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do something creative, but I didn't know that there was a place for me in music specifically, like other than being an artist, being a producer, like I did, or a writer. And like, I'm not trying to do any of that. I definitely was not trying to at the time. So I found out that A&R was a job and that there was like a place for me in music outside of those roles. And once I figured that out, I started trying to learn what the job is, what it even entails. And I think a huge part of it was network, like building your network, building the amount of producers and writers that you know, because I think that a huge part of A&R is based on your taste level. That was like number one. So I'm like, okay, well, I already know what kind of music I like. I already know how to decipher, like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. So everything that I did like, or the people in the industry that I respected, I would try to network with them. I was just like, hey, I'm just trying to learn. I met this A&R, he was over at Love Renaissance at the time, and he offered like for me to shadow him basically in the Love Renaissance studio in a couple sessions. So I drove down to Atlanta, I was shadowing him for the day, and he ended up having a meeting at Tree Sound Studios that same day. So we went over there, it wasn't too far. While I was there, I met the general manager at the time, and we connected, exchanged contact info, and then I think the next day, I was just like, hey, whatever you need help with, let me know. Like, I'm literally just here to learn. So we ended up having a meeting like a couple days later, and then he offered me like an internship position pretty much, doing studio assistant work, just shadowing. It really gave me like a larger perspective of music other than just like making it at home. But Atlanta was really cool. I was there for a little under a year, driving there like 2 hours, 2-3 times a week, 2 hours each way. So, but like I was so determined to just like understand, you know, and I made a lot of great relationships from that, like people that I still talk to this day and still work with to this day, I met there. So
what would you say was the most challenging part of that?
I think that role allowed me to kind of understand where I fit in a lot better. It is a male-dominated industry, very much so. Like,
yeah,
there
like, was that intimidating in any way? Or just not intimidating, it's a little scary, really?
It was, because it was pretty much like all men there, except for the booking manager. She was a woman, but it was very much a male-dominated space. But I think like I really just wanted to kind of get to where I was trying to go, learn what I was trying to learn. I think all of that was just a learning process. But also like just making people take you seriously. And like, hey, I'm here for a reason. I'm not just here with so-and-so. I'm not just here with so-and-so. Like, I'm here because there's a place for me here, you know? So I think making that known, especially so early on in this shit, I was like, that was a really big challenge for me.
What would you say was or is currently the most challenging part about your day-to-day work life?
I think the theme of this year has been balance and harmony. I think that I started off this year in a lot of different places, and I still think that there's a level of me that's like spread thin, but I think that I'm learning how to handle it a lot better. I think number one for me this year was time management, and once you master, and I'm nowhere near mastering it, I'm just now, you know, understanding the concept of it, but once you master time management, I think that everything can move a lot smoother.
Going into that, balancing, how do you make time for yourself, you know?
Or even your social life?
Yeah, your social life with that work-life balance.
Social life? What social life? No, I mean, I think that like as demanding as my positions are, I do think that it allows me like quite a bit of freedom to work from wherever I am, you know, depending on what stage my clients are at in their years and their careers or whatever. Like kind of harmonizing my needs with where they're at is really, really essential. Yeah, knowing when I want to just physically step away for a second, but I can still be reachable by phone. I can still be reachable by, email or whatever it may be.
How do you even wind down from a stressful day? Because it's like I feel like in my head you're one of the busiest people in the city. So it's like when you have you time finally, or even if it's with friends, what are you doing?
I love cartoons. I love right now it's Smiling Friends. It's Smiling Friends. Like, that is one of the greatest TV shows ever. No, the writing, the callbacks, the little Easter eggs, like it's incredible. So I've really found myself like in the Smiling Friends lore as of recently.
What's your playlist looking like nowadays?
I got you. There's this song that I really like from this artist, The Seasons. It's called Going. Really fire. I've really been in my like folk bag too. Sid Suram is one of my favorite vocalists, artists in general right now. Of course, the artists that I work with, The Mind, Guy Crusade, and Jin. Also, Hi Noah, you have to check out. Samara Sin, she's from Tennessee, and I'm like, she's fire. Of course, the new Sabrina Carpenter album has me in a chokehold.
Are you the type of person to like switch up how you're listening to music as the seasons change? Because like me personally, I keep a fall playlist that's like more alternative, and in the summer, I like a lot more hip hop, R&B.
I've tried to do that. I try to make like seasonal playlists, but I think for me, I'm not like a playlist person. Yeah, I'm an album girl. But like the way that I listen to music, I'm literally just searching for a feeling.
You said you're an album girly, so what are your top 3 albums?
Of all time?
Yeah, of all time.
I don't know if I could do of all time.
You could cop out and do maybe recent releases.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
recent. I mean, McGee is number 1. I think that we can all agree on that. I really enjoyed the new version of Ada Vista from Childish Gambino. Like I said, obviously been listening to Dancing While Crying in the Middle of Nowhere by The Mind. I had a really heavy hand in that, so it's just kind of reaping the fruits of our labor with that one. I really liked the new Post Malone album. I really like country. I love bluegrass. That is a really, really well put together album.
What was your process on the rollout of The Mind's new project?
March and April of 2023. The Mind did a lockout here at Classick Studios for about 2 weeks, made in total, I think it was around like 60 to 70 songs as a team, like me and a couple other people from the studio team and everything. We each created individual playlists of our favorite songs from, the collection of 60 to 70 songs. We picked our favorites. Once we kind of solidified, I think it started off as 6 songs. The project ended up being 7 in total. Once we figured out what those 6 songs were, we each created our own playlist of sequencing. So how did we even want the album to be sequenced? There wasn't necessarily a concept for the album going into the lockout either. It was just like whatever he wants to create. Yeah, it was actually Chris's playlist that, in terms of like the sequencing, that we decided was objectively the best. From that, we literally just started to build this whole world of just what does this project look like for The Mind, and look like and feel like and sound like and everything. And there was so much post-production that a really good friend of mine, an incredible producer, Eugene Tsai, did. Yeah, and I think like just as a team, this was like the best example of like what a team effort looks like, I think, because we each individually had like our roles to play, and I think like coming off of the release, I missed the process of creating it. I just really hope that we can like continue that energy into the next project, because we already have like the next 2 projects for The Mind.
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, I mean,
Juliana Miller and The Mind.
Yeah, specifically with The Mind, like we're already trying to think of those next 2 projects. He's in the middle of a lockout as we speak right now.
Or could you maybe touch on a little bit how even your working relationship with The Mind got started?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started working together, I was just doing freelance A&R. I wasn't even really doing management. So a few months after we started working together, I worked with, I started managing Vu. He's a producer and artist out in Oakland. We ended up doing a collab album between The Mind and Vu called Coffee Grounds. Around the time that project was being put out, we started working together in the management capacity, slowly but surely building out the team together.
And becoming a manager in itself sounds like really scary when somebody's like trusting you to
It is.
be their right hand. And how do you talk yourself up to even do something like that?
Well, I think something that I'm realizing recently is like confidence is everything. I think for a long time confidence almost came naturally. But I think when, like I was talking about earlier, there's these moments that life humbles you, it almost tries to like take a hit at your confidence, and you literally can't allow it to. And I think that management in itself is alchemy. It is trying to create things that don't necessarily exist, which is, you know, something that I'm learning every single day. Like for me, management is a learning process, and I'm just really grateful to have clients that allow me the space to do so, the space and the grace and the understanding to do so.
And what's some advice you'd give women, you know, just trying to break into the industry, whether it's on the artist side or just the, you know, administrative side? Like, what is some words of advice you have for them?
Finding your tribe and people that are willing to grow and work with you and understand you and support you, I think that that's number one. I think that like I don't think anybody should go at this alone, but specifically women should not go at this alone. The industry will already try to make you feel small. It'll already try to make you feel like you're not supposed to be there, but you are. And I think that like having a support system to really like rally behind you and really uplift you is so important. That's number one. And like I said, it doesn't come easy, it doesn't come instantly, but you'll know when that's the people that you're supposed to be working with at that point in time.
Who's somebody who inspires you style-wise? Because you're always dressed to the nines.
Thank you. Ooh, stop. There's so many. I don't think I've gotten there yet, but Was Good on Instagram. Y'all know Was Good? God, I love her stuff. She can literally wear anything. I think the next direction that I'm trying to go in is like more feminine wear. I feel like I've been dressing very like tomboyish and everything, and I love that. It's always been like my thing ever since I was like a teenager. And maybe I dress a little bit more feminine than I think I do. Like I just feel like I was always dressing very tomboy.
Skirt.
I know, I'm like trying to wear more dresses and skirts and stuff. That I think Was Good is a really big inspiration. Who else? Danny Sierra. She's like so sophisticated and like a really good, yes, it's like a really good mixture of like, it's like elevated streetwear.
Or are you gonna go into your modeling bag anytime soon? Because you were dropping photo shoots recently.
I don't know, I want to get into modeling, but like I don't know, I like want to go all in with it. Like that's how I feel like I am with it. It's just like if I'm gonna do it, I want to like do it. I do want to get more into like content creating for myself. I think I'm starting to figure out what my niche is a little bit more, just from like experiencing life and everything. But I do want to get into like just content creating, showcasing like more of my day-to-day.
What is a makeup product you can't live without?
Brow gel.
Okay.
And lip gloss, as I forgot my lip gloss today. But yeah, the Kosas brow gel. So good. I got it as like a birthday sample from Sephora or something. And I never end up buying like the full size of it because I never really like it that much, but it's like so good.
I think you've answered everything.
Yeah, you've been great.
Thank you.
Is there any final notes on your end?
Or what is next for Juliana?
Yeah, what's next?
Let the world know.
God, what is next? Honestly,
just more girl bossing.
More girl bossing. I want to travel more. I want to see more of the world. I went to New York for the first time this year, and like that, the energy like of seeing that for the first time, like how big things can really get, and I just want to keep on existing in that, wherever that may be.
I like that answer. It's a great answer.
Thank you.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. I just want to like experience and grow and just be more confident.
Experience things and realize things.
Yeah.
We want to thank you guys so much for watching, and most importantly, we would love to thank the lovely Juliana Miller for inviting us to her habitat, you know, and talking to us.
Oh my
Thank
God,
you.
Anytime. Thank you guys so much. It was such a pleasure.
Bye, guys.
Bye.